the week, more than halfway through. It's Thursday. Holy crud! I just realized how much I have to do today. So hey, it's my name is Misha Fayon. Look, I am just a woman who got super sick, almost everything up there except for erectile dysfunction, and got better when doctors, nutritionists, the gym guys, everybody who was trying to help me couldn't seem to figure it out and couldn't get things better. So, as I've learned along the way what happened and why I started getting better, I started doing a little bit of digging and now I'm sharing it with other people so that hopefully you guys can benefit from it too. This week I'm talking a lot about skin health. So you'll see skin tags up there. Had those on my neck, under my arms, in my groin. Thought that it was just, you know, I'm older. I'm almost 60 now, and so I thought that it was just part of becoming a grandma. And it's not, because I don't have any skin tags now. So if that's you, if you have skin tags, whether you're my age or younger, I want to explain to you why that's happening and hopefully get you some help. I know I have people who've had them cut off or burnt off, and they're like, oh, that was just fine. But the problem for me is those and this dark skin patch, like on the elbow up there, those are early warning signs that something is going wrong. So instead of just like taking that early warning sign and discarding it so you don't have to face it, why don't we actually take a look at what is actually happening in your body? And address that, and then that reality of the root cause will start taking care of the skin tags and the acanthosis nigricans or dark skin patches. So those dark skin patches can happen on any color skin. They're more predominant oftentimes on lighter skin because it's a hyperpigmentation in areas, and the hyperpigmentation is caused by this thing called insulin resistance. So hang out with me. We don't just have to talk about those. If there's anything else up here that you're dealing with that you want to talk about, let me know and we'll dive into those. And I'll try to explain to the best of my ability what's happening and why this is all linked to insulin resistance. Because almost every disease and disorder, according to doctors and metabolic scientists, that we suffer with today, that's not metabolic, that's lifestyle related, is linked to insulin resistance. And that's pretty huge. So if we take a look at everything that we're suffering from, everything that people are trying to get better from, and understand that the one big link up is insulin resistance, then if we were able to take care of that, maybe we'd be able to get our health back and start living the life we were meant to live. Yeah, it does help with diabetes. And when you deal with insulin resistance, then we are helping a number of these other things. I never say the word cure, that's your word. It's our diet. So our diet, though, yes, we're eating things that maybe we shouldn't, because we're all driven by fast food, quickness, convenience, but our foods have been modified and they've been manufactured. I'm just going to take a moment for a second here, and I want to say, Danny, can we all say a word for Danny and just help him understand that this is a beautiful day today. So not all of us, what? Olivia, I don't know what that one is in reference to. So if you'll clarify for that, me, I'm more than happy to. Oh, you hate the pharmaceutical companies because you love the word cure? Oh, and the pharmaceutical companies have damaged that word, haven't they? I mean, in my opinion, they are. I hope we're on the same wavelength, Denny, because your fasting insulin, I'm not the one who should tell you that. Your doctor should tell you what your fasting insulin is. To be honest, I don't rightly know. I mean, I can tell you what the recommendation is for A1C. That's probably a good thing for me to look up, huh? Fasting insulin tests haven't been done as much, so that's something you would test with talk about with your doctor. You guys, here's the thing. This is where it gets a little tricky, right? Because you can tell if you're insulin resistant by telling all of these symptoms. If you're having these symptoms, you're most likely insulin resistant. And since it's a food-borne disorder and it's not requiring medication to help address this disorder, if you feel better about going to the doctor and getting that test, then do that. I never had the test. We just started realizing because I got pushed into diabetes, so we knew by then that it was insulin resistance. But had I known by any of these symptoms 20 years ago, I would have been able to start addressing it then. So I'll give you some ways you can tell with the labs you have. We all eat processed food, but here's the thing, Olivia, even what you're considering to be whole, real food, most of the wild caught salmon now, they've been testing them and they have been genetically modified because there's been some bleed through from the farmed salmon into the wild caught salmon. Our cows, our chickens are not the same. They're being pumped full of antibiotics and whatnot. So here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying to a point, but most of us, like I live in a city now. I don't have space for a farm. I don't get to have animals around. I did when we were kids. I don't get to have, a fresh garden that's going to sustain me throughout the year, nor do I get to have access to heirloom seeds. So now, thank you for that gift. So now I'm living with the reality we are in now. So as much as we can, eat those whole foods, but I want people to understand, do not be fooled into thinking that just because you're buying what they say is organic is actually that much different from what you're buying. That's not, because it's all been modified. I do have, oh, sorry. You guys now know where I keep my earphones. So a peach used to be the size of this, right? This is what the size of a peach used to be. Now it's the size of my fist. You go buy an organic peach, it's going to be this big. It's not going to be this tiny, crunchy, not juicy, kind of bitter thing. And that's what we should be eating, but that's not what we're not getting. You do intermittent fasting. I do intermittent fasting as well. I love it. I'm actually doing a type of fast. I might hop in and start talking about it because I'm doing an every other day fast right now because I'm 59 and know that I have years of damage in my system. I'm upping the game a little bit by doing this longer fast for a month. It was a little challenge we did. The products are in my profile, you guys. You can just go there and get them. It is the Feel Great system. So it's a tea that I drink in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I drink before my first two biggest meals of the day, and that's it. So that's it. Metabolic syndrome is very much linked to insulin resistance. Yes, insulin resistance is, if we were to look at metabolic syndrome, the things that they say are the pieces of metabolic syndrome, all of them are caused by insulin resistance, and insulin resistance is in there as well. So it's like insulin resistance, and then maybe, you get metabolic syndrome, and then you get prediabetes, and then you get diabetes type 2. And I don't talk about metabolic syndrome a lot because I consider it very much similar to insulin resistance. Everything, almost all food is genetically modified. Yes, exactly, Light Warrior. Almost everything we eat is genetically modified, and that's the problem. So I agree with eating as much raw whole food. I just don't agree with people being disillusioned that it's the same food that we got 50 years ago. Just doing intermittent fasting. And so I love intermittent fasting. Yeah. So it is different in the US. I don't, it's hard when people are coming at you Americans. Well, me Americans don't want the kind of food that we have either. So it's different here. I traveled overseas and I was having problems with gluten intolerance before I started the system, right? So I had a beautiful trip to France and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try things out. And so I had a few things in the airport on my way through. I was actually on my way to Finland that time, is what I'm thinking about. But I did a bay cruise of the islands outside of oh come on, where did we go in Finland? Anyway, and so they had these great pastries, and I thought I'm going to try them. And I also thought, what the hell are you trying these wheat pastries on a little ship for when you got no place to go? But I didn't have the problems I do with the wheat here in the US. And I used to dive into all that stuff a lot. But yeah, our food here in the US is just different. It's just a whole different thing. So your friend Cindy, 16-hour fast minimum. Right. Oh, Light Warrior, I would love to chat with you. Would you be up for chatting with me sometime, like off of here or on here or whatever? But I actually used to drive for Lyft and Uber, and I had people in my car that both worked for Monsanto and the CDC. And it's interesting because I drive the late night shift, and so people's tongues loosen up after a few drinks, and I learned a lot. My kids thought I was a conspiracy theorist, but a lot of what I talk about has to do with what I heard from those people. So I would never use your name, but I would love to have a conversation with you if you're up for that, because that stuff really interests me. And um, one blue zone in the USA, food choice. Well, our food, you know, like Light Warrior is saying, even this is the thing, unless you're growing foods that are from heirloom seeds and you're rotating crops and you're composting your own stuff, it's really hard to get to the kind of food that we think that we're getting. Okay, Denny, I want to write your number down, Denny. Now, and then also, you guys, if you go to my profile, it's not just the page where you can get the products that I use. It's also, there's a WhatsApp where you can start texting me and have conversation there. There's a ebook that I have you download, or that I offer for you to download. Um, that's for free. Okay, gotcha, Denny. All right, so whew, let's get back on track, you guys. I love all of this conversation, and that really is the root cause of what's happening with all of this. I've been playing with my sleeve, now it's bugging me. I'm having an ADD day. I need my tea. So by the way, the tea that I keep drinking is this tea. It gives me mental energy, clarity. It's a natural, it's a real food product. There is some sucralose in it, and we have extracted it and concentrated it from the bulk of the plant. However, we do hand pick it, and we don't ever machine harvest it, so ethically, sustainably harvested. And it is like a golden bullet for me. Any weight loss lowers all health markers. It's now been proven. Don't need supplements. So Jill, now the weight loss links into the insulin resistance. What I want you to understand is that when you have insulin resistance is when you start putting weight on. It's not that you get weight and you get the insulin resistance. You get the insulin resistance and it starts putting weight on, or you have hyperinsulinemia, starts putting the weight on. So you cannot have excess weight without excess insulin. Now, like in my case, I packed on weight for years, and so now some of it's in areas that doesn't get good blood flow or warmth or all of that stuff, so we're working on that. I've been doing this for 2 years. I wouldn't consider on it, because like, am I on food? No. It's not a medication, it's a real food product, so I have it like I eat my meals, and I have the pre-meal drink before I eat my meals, because I now understand how much fibers have been stripped out of our diet, how much nutrients have been stripped out of our diet. So this just replaces what's been stripped out so that my body can do what it's meant to do naturally. Prebiotics, there's 7 different types of fiber, soluble and insoluble in there, and that's the goal to it. So 2 years ago, I know the picture is hard to see. You guys over here keep seeing me point. Food is not the same as it was 40 years ago, Melba. Absolutely. When diabetic, Winil, I don't know how to say your name. I have not dealt with thrush. So if you'll give me a moment to look that up, somebody's asking what caused the thrush when diabetic, and I don't want to speak out of turn. So what I'll do is I'll go to the resources that I have that are metabolic scientists and doctors and the publications and all the stuff that they have, and I'll see if I can find that answer. And when I can give an intelligible, clear answer to that, then I will come back and give that answer. And I'll try to do that in the morning. So let's write that one down too. I mean, I have some ideas, but I would like to see the work that they have to say why it's really caused. Falafel works, any diet works. It's proven. People on here just try to sell this. Oh, Jill, so I tried I was a world champion athlete. Damn it, I didn't get the pictures up. I worked out 6 days a week. I worked out 3 hours a day. Some days, at times, I worked out 7 days a week. I ate a very clean and keto diet, and I was still no smaller than I am now with all of those workouts, but I was still having health issues. So that's great if that works for you, but please do not take away from people who are trying to do better and find a way to make it manageable for themselves. Okay. My A1C was better maintained on keto. Yes, it is, Tammy. But here's the thing, your A1C is not going to tell you if you're insulin resistant until you're already showing prediabetes and diabetes. That's what happened with me. I lost 3 joints. Jill. I worked with doctors, I worked with nutritionists, and I worked with gym guys who dealt with bodybuilders about my diet and the exercise routine I did. So try another card. It all comes down to hormones, and doctors like Yao and Lee and Fong and Bickman all talk about that. So I was not doing intermittent fasting. I was doing keto. And it just did not cure, it was not the cure-all for me. So I do eat ketoistic now. I allow myself to have treats when I need them. Right. So then stop trying to turn everybody into one diet. One of the things that I love about the system is that it allows you to do whatever you want to do. So if you want to do the carnivore diet, you can still do this if you want to get the fiber and whatnot in. If you're vegan, you do this. If you eat keto, you can do this. If you eat a normal diet, you can do this. It makes it sustainable for everyone by allowing us to get back in what's been stripped out. And that's the science behind this. So it's not a diet. These are giving us back what's been stripped out. So falafel, you're a guy, so you're not going to argue. Women have more under the hood and thyroid stuff, right? And there is a reason, but I want to talk about that though. So then if that is a little bit true, right? So it does have to do with hormones. But I want to talk to you about hormones in guys. So you'll see erectile dysfunction up there and low thyroid up there. I don't think I have low thyroid. Low testosterone, part of erectile dysfunction. When you have insulin resistance, it's impeding how your body is functioning with your testosterone. Impeding is not the right word, because what's actually happening is in high levels of insulin, you start to build fat, and then as time goes on, those fat cells are acting like ovaries in your body, and they're converting more of your testosterone into estrogen. Now you're gaining more fat, you're getting man boobs, you're getting love handles, you're having some of the other issues, inability to grow a beard, all of that stuff. But it all starts with the excess levels of insulin. So understand that the hormone part is not just a woman thing. That was my point with that. But yes, ladies, estrogen is a protectant against high levels of insulin. So if you're having dysregulation of hormones, if your estrogen levels are down, it's going to affect how your insulin converts. And in your case, it's preventing that. Yeah, so you guys, and here's the thing. I'm a proponent of anybody who can do it on their own. That's fine. Please do that if you can. Most people cannot. Most people are trying thing after thing, and then they end up on medications, and then that's not healthy for them. So for those people who find that it's unsustainable to do all of these things, and they just feel like it's too much to think about, then I supplement for the fiber that I need in my diet. I have this tea in the morning. I combine it. This tea gives me mental clarity and energy. It shuts down my hunger. So I'm not even hungry until noon. And it's reversed my diabetes without doing keto or veganism or any of that. And I lost $50 or 50. Somebody just left me a message and I combined those 50 pounds. So you guys, that's the deal. Jill? Where are you at? Here we go. Bye. All right, you guys look at. I'm all for people doing what they need to do. I'm all for that. But when you start to try and tear down the good that I'm trying to do, I don't have space for that. I just don't. You guys, I've helped so many people who felt like they had no other choice and couldn't do all of those things. So I don't know how many times I'm supposed to say, do what is right for you. For those that have problems sticking with things or who have problems with where to start, this is amazing. Like, I just don't have time for all of that. You guys, the life is too short. Life is way too short. I'm here to help the people who need help, and that's that. So we're going to go back to talking about skin tags and dark skin patches. Skin tags are actually when you have insulin resistance. By the way, the food that we're eating is converting into energy too quickly. And that's why I supplement with the fibers to slow down that food from converting into energy so quickly. Yeah, Jill was not a nice person. She was an angry person, and you guys, let's just pause because, like, I know I talk about this, but we can talk about anything we want. I'm making a commitment, and I'm going to. Yes, there are both signs of insulin resistance. Absolutely. I'm making a commitment to distance myself from that negativity, but with some grace, right? Like, I have to understand that whatever Jill is going through, her life is not beautiful right now for her to be so nasty in somebody else's life. Okay? So with that, we're going to send her off with grace. Okay? And I invite everyone, we live in such a fast-paced negative world that it's so easy to just be mad and angry and hate everyone. And we need to stop all that. There's just no need for that in our lives, and it doesn't help us at all. It doesn't help us at all. It doesn't serve me, it doesn't serve you to be angry at somebody who's just obviously having a difficult time in life. So, there we are. Now, back to, you guys, I'm so much happier when I can let go of everybody else's crap. So, skin tags and acanthosis nigricans. When we have this excess insulin in our system because we have too much energy in our system, it starts to shut down areas in our body. Cells, different organs will start to say, I'm sick of you, insulin. I don't want any more. There are a few places that it will accept insulin. So keratinocytes in your skin, which are excess skin cells, which are what skin tags are, that's one of them. Melanocytes or melanin in your skin color is another one that overproduces because of the excess energy in the system. So this acanthosis nigricans or dark skin patches over here, you guys, dark skin patches, that's one of the first signs that you may be having insulin resistance. And it's difficult. I still haven't found a way to approach people in public because I get really impassioned about the things that I love and know, and I just want to share it with everybody, and I know it's off-putting to some people. But man, when I'm out and about in public and I see people struggling, and then I look and I see they've got dark skin patches on their knees or on their neck or around their ankles, is some of the ones I've been seeing lately, I just really want to hug them and say it doesn't have to be like this. But we are in a society that just doesn't accept that anymore. So if you guys have an idea of how I can talk to people that I know are struggling that could actually get their health back, I would absolutely love that, because that's just been a conundrum for me. Like, yeah, Tammy, my elbows were worse than the ones up there. They were like pitch black all the way. I call it pitch black. It was a really dark brown, but they were also scaly and rough. And I kept scrubbing them, thinking that there was something wrong, that my hygiene wasn't good enough or whatever. So I'm using cleansers, and I'm using shea butter, and I'm using coconut oil because I don't like all the other stuff. And it wasn't getting better. But here, I'll take this jacket off. But now, within, I think, 3 months on the system that I'm talking about, my elbows don't have any dark patches. Okay, so that all went away. That's one of the things that I know, and like the skin is smooth, and that's a nice feeling if you have those patches and it's rough and you understand what I'm talking about. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Plus, I had dark rings starting around my neck. I had melasma that my makeup wouldn't even cover up. And it was horrible, especially in the summertime. It got to the point where I hated to be in the sun at all because then I would end up with these big dark blotches all over my face. And I don't have that problem anymore because my insulin is under control. Now, do I still have some weight to lose? Yes, I do. I've had my gallbladder out. I'm 59. My hormones are dysregulated. So we're working on all of that because I will go back to the thing that says it's all about hormones. By the way, this is my favorite thing to talk about lately because I'm discovering what's happening with me. So I'm sharing it with you guys. But when your gallbladder gets yanked out, ladies, be careful of doctors who just say we're just going to take that thing out. Most women who have this gallbladder removal end up gaining weight with a fervor later. It causes hormone dysregulation, it causes thyroid dysregulation, and then you end up with like what happened for me about a year later. I started having extreme stomach pains and I couldn't figure it out, it hadn't changed anything. It all had to do with the gallbladder and the resultant dysregulation of hormones and bile and all that stuff. So that's the other thing for me with this system. Wow, I have something that came off, stuck. This helps the acids in my stomach stay down. It helps me not overeat, and I don't have those gastritis symptoms while I'm doing this. And watching and making sure that I don't get those negative seed oils or over amounts of sugar. Those will kill your system if you have no gallbladder. All right. So I am so random today. Every day, every day. All right, you guys learn to live with it, but and I appreciate that you do. So the skin tags are another thing, just like this acanthosis nigricans. I had those on my neck, in my groin, under my arms as well. And when I didn't even realize that they had gone away. I didn't even know that there was a chance that they would go away. I didn't know. I just thought I was stuck with them. And I was on the phone with a client and she was like, Misha, my skin tags are all gone. And I'm like, what? I get really laser focused, guys. So I will forget things in a heartbeat. After the call, I ran into the bathroom and yanked off my shirt and started like a little kid, checking my underarms and checking all the places where I had skin tags, and they were gone. But I was so focused on other things I hadn't even noticed. So I never ever had a skin tag cut off or lasered off or any of that. And now that I know because if you do those things, they will just come back later in another place because you haven't addressed the root cause. So I also talked about acne earlier this week. You guys, excess oil production from this excess insulin causes the blockage. Like if you feel like you're washing your skin all the time, it's just continually oily. Did I have shake on my lip? Probably. But that excess oil production will cause that acne as well. I'll be talking about wrinkling later this week. So remember, some cells are taking up way too much energy, so we end up with things like acanthosis nigricans or dark skin patches, or we end up with things like skin tags. But then other places are not getting enough energy, and so you start having wrinkling and laxity in your skin. Melba says she's 68 and never knew what a hot flash was. Now she burns up if she does very much, I'm assuming, physical activity. Feels like she's suffocating. Her OBGYN wants her doctor to recheck her thyroid. Her hair is coming out. She has very dry skin. Her weight is out of whack. She has mouth ulcers. Plus, she's now seeing other people talk about since losing gallbladder and is doing the burning up too. Yeah, the gallbladder really messes with you, and that thyroid is one of them. Plus, if you're not careful, that's why I take bile salts and that's why I take digestive enzymes now. Sometimes I forget because it's not exactly a habit for me yet, but it will cause a lot of inflammation in your system. So one thing that I've learned, Melba, is that even if you're producing the right amount of thyroid, so they can do a thyroid check and be like, you have the right amount of thyroid in your system, your body may not be able to utilize the thyroid because of inflammation, and that's part of the problem. So she says, this is crazy. You want to think, what is so different? Because people have got gallbladders removed for years, confused. Well, I think that it's like anything else. When we don't talk about stuff, we don't know about stuff. So we don't know what we don't know until we know what we don't know. And when nobody's talking about it, when nobody's saying, hey, all of this changed for me, maybe it's not so much that people weren't having those problems. Maybe it's the fact that people just didn't used to talk about it, and we didn't have social media, and we didn't have all of these avenues to share information so people could learn and understand how to get better or what's happening with them. So there's that, right? Then I do think that with the prevalence of insulin resistance, it's doubled down on it. So gallbladder is tricky, right? Because a couple of things that I would like to just impart with the gallbladder. If you are having problems with your gallbladder and gallstones, you are likely already having problems with insulin resistance. Now, there is one way that stones can be created that has nothing to do with insulin resistance. There's that factor. But most stones are created because of this excess cholesterol in our system, created by excess sugars in our system, and we get this sludge in our gallbladder, and our gallbladder is kind of paralyzed because of nerve disorders, because of insulin dysregulation, and now it can't squeeze and get that bile out of there, and so it's sitting there and it's causing crystals. So now back up a step and understand that if that's happening in your gallbladder, your liver is already sick. So Melba, if you, I'll put the link in over there, but if you go to my recommendations page on my link tree, the bile salts and the enzymes that I use, that I just am, what I use, are listed there, and you can find them. So the bile salts are, we're talking about liver. So the gallbladder is a little container that holds the bile. So the liver's continually creating bile, and bile helps break down your food. Okay. When you strip that gallbladder out, now you don't have this container. So we don't advocate for eating all day, but then when you do eat and you don't have this container of this like little packet of bile that's there to break down the food when you do eat, now you've removed the gallbladder, that's gone. So the liver is having to work overtime to try and create enough bile to break down the food. You start having digestion dysregulation, you start having pain, like knives being stabbed in under your sternum. It's really, really painful, but your liver is being overtaxed. So I take bile salts because what that does is it helps when I'm eating my liver not to have to do so much extra work now that they yanked my gallbladder out. I also take enzymes to help break that food down and again, not overtax things that are being pushed way too hard because a key component got removed because people say, oh, you don't need that, we'll just yank it out. And then who cares that you gain 50 pounds a year later? I've seen so many women who've had their gallbladder out and end up with excess weight, thyroid problems, all of that. So Michelle, you guys, let's take a look real quick because we've had this question a couple of times, and that's just fine. So if you go to my profile picture up top, it's just easier for me to show you in this way. So let's take this down. And we're going to go to, look at how messy my hair is. We're going to go to my profile. By clicking on my picture up top, you're going to go right here to my profile. Okay, I dropped the link in over on Facebook and YouTube. But right under those red lights, you'll see this link. Yours is going to look black. It always shows up red on my computer. When you click that, it's going to take you to this page. You can find the system that I talk about there. I do have a full website that explains the system that I use more in detail. And then these things on my recommendations page, I don't sell them. I don't do any of that. They're just, people have asked so many questions. I put links there so you guys can find what I'm using. So that's what it looks like. So like I do use a ketone checker and a fit watch to check my blood pressure daily and all of that. And then I have MCT oils that I'll use. Um, but mostly I get my oils from Whole Foods, but every once in a while I do add MCTs to a drink. But there's the bile and the enzymes. But you can just get to that by going to my Linktree page. So click on my picture up top, follow the link right under the red lights, and you'll get there. Now, well, since we're here, I'm going to show you this. So the system that I talk about, which is reverse my diabetes, help is why I got rid of my skin tags and all of that, is this. I do a tea in the morning that helps me have mental clarity and energy. It helps me burn fat for fuel. It's helping me with ketone production, and I don't have jitters or crashes or any of that. I'm actually getting components to my brain that are helping with happiness, wellness, helping stave off anxiety, depression, panic attacks. And then I drink this in the afternoon. So I do a 16-8 fast. Tea in the morning does not break my fast. By the way, metabolic scientists, obviously, for our company, we're a science company, had a hand in developing all of this. These two are the same thing. I just drink one 10 minutes before each time I eat. Now, these help with the delivery of sugars into my system so that it's not happening too quickly. And that helps bring down a blood sugar spike by about 27% and insulin spike by 13%. But if you're having a high carbohydrate meal, you can have two of them because it's just food, and that will bring the insulin spike down by like 28%. And that there's scientific papers that show that if you go to Unicity Science. But what this pre-meal drink does, it's 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers, coats your stomach up, starts to fill it up, and gives you like this protective layer in the bottom of your stomach before you start eating. The enzymes in your stomach start to puff it up, so now you're getting a little bit full before you even eat. Then when you do eat, it coats the food that you eat and slows it down. So you're not depriving yourself of nutrients. It's just slowing down how quickly it runs through your body. You guys know we're having problems with diarrhea, IBS, and all that because food is going through too quick, because fibers have been stripped out. Yeah, Kaz, that's pretty typical. So we'll come back to that. So I do this before I eat anything. So most days I only eat 2 meals, but if I'm out with my grandkids or, we go to I want to have popcorn at a movie or something, I just have this first. It's easy. It fits in my purse. It mixes in water. I can get a bottle of water like this. This is about how much water I mix it in, drink it up, and I'm good. I just have my life. That's it. So a tea in the morning, two pre-meal drinks before I eat, one before I eat anything, so 2 a day. So 90 packets, it costs about $5 a day, but it has reversed my diabetes, my hypertension, helped me lose 50 pounds, got the rest of my health back. So we're going to look at it right now. So if you just go to my profile, click on that. We'll show this one more time and then I'm going to come right back to this. So if you click on my profile, you're going to get to a page that looks like this. Something like this. I have too much electronics on my desk. So when you see the red lights right under my picture, click on that link. So info below, right there, right under the red lights, click on that. It will take you here. Those drinks are found at this top link. Now I am an authorized distributor by the company. Be careful and make sure you're doing that. We can talk about why in a minute, but right now I want to get you to the product. So my name is Michelle Fayant. I've gone by Misha for 30 years, but make sure it has my name there. You'll get connected to me. You'll get to talk to me, ask me questions, whatever you need. Then click on buy now. Remember I said a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. Right now we have this special limited edition flavor of apple for the pre-meal drink, but you get 30 tea, 60 pre-meal drink. And both of them just mix in water. The tea you don't have to gulp down. You can enjoy it. You can have it hot or cold. So you get it lemon, ginger. I would start with the lemon. Then the flavors for the pre-meal drink are going to be apple crush or orange. I would just stick with the apple crush, and when it's gone, it's gone. You can get orange anytime. Then you're going to choose between one-time purchase or monthly subscription. It's $5 off if you do the subscription. Plus you don't pay for shipping. Plus you get this handy dandy free hand mixer when you do the subscription. I love mine. It sits on my kitchen counter right next to my sink, and because I'm mixing up the drinks all day. And so it is about $5 a day, $159 when it's one time, $154 on subscription. You do get a 5-day email before that comes out, and so you have a chance to decide what you want to do. Do you want to change flavors? Do you need to push it back? Do you need to add something? Do you need to whatever? You have that chance. So they're real food products. They're not medications, but they're in the PDR, the prescriber's digital reference. So the other thing is that your physician can prescribe it. Not all insurances, but some insurances will cover it. So this is not something I provide for you. This is, you go to your doctor, you show him this, it's in the PDR, ask him for a prescription. He writes it, you turn it into insurance for reimbursement, and many do. So there's that. Because it's science-backed and clinically proven, it's in the PDR, they can do that, all right? But it's a real food product and not a medication. So it's not causing damage, and you can take it alongside of any medications that you're on, work with your doctor on coming off of those. That's what I did. I mean, I just actually came off of my medications because I worked in medical clinics for so long, and I get a little bit rogue. A little bit, a lot. I'm a stubborn Native woman, and she does what she wants most of the time. Okay. So there's that. And all right, Kaz, back to the gallbladder. So yeah, I had Hashimoto's for years. So Hashimoto's is tough, right? Let's talk about Hashimoto's a little bit before we talk about the gallbladder. And this is from my understanding. Please understand, I'm not a doctor or a physician or a nutritionist. This is the things that I've understood because of my health journeys and all of the information that I've been given and found out. All right, let's be clear with that. So Hashimoto's, and I'm hearing more and more and more doctors talk about the fact that autoimmune disease starts from inflammation in the gut. Insulin resistance is causing inflammation in the gut. Now, am I saying this is going to cure everything? No, but I'm saying clean your house. When your house is clean and functioning like it's supposed to, it's easier to see what may be going wrong, okay? So if we remove the inflammation from the gut, a number of women with Hashimoto's have gotten better just by doing the system because they're cleaning up that gut microbiome, and it's helping them not have these inflammatory markers and go out to your thyroid and cue your body to attack itself because it feels like it's there's something wrong, that it's doing something wrong because there's inflammation there, and so it's trying to attack it. So Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, we've had a number of women get better, and even the type 1, I can't confirm that she had Hashimoto's, but I know of several women, including myself, that had Hashimoto's that got better with this. Now, the interesting thing is when they yank your gallbladder, like how I say that, when they yank it, because they just say, we're going to take your gallbladder, sign this, go here, we're going to take it out, you got to have it done, and they don't explain any of the stuff, right? How many of you guys that have had your gallbladder removed had anybody sit down and say, hey, you're likely to gain 35 to 50 pounds in a year to two after you have this done because it's going to dysregulate your hormones, it's going to dysregulate your thyroid, it's going to cause pain, and you're going to have to be very careful of what you eat, and you can't, like, they don't tell you all of those things. So I cannot remember the exact mechanism because it's not one that I deal with all the time, but I remember studying about a month or two ago when I was starting to figure out what was happening to me and linked it back to the thyroid because we have the insulin resistance under control. My A1C, my blood glucose, all of those numbers, my lipids are all under control, so that calculation that I give, that's all under control. But I'm still I'm having difficulties losing more weight, I'm having pain, I'm having some other things. Comes in the fact that my gallbladder got removed. Yep. They don't tell you anything even after, right, Cass? So they take the gallbladder out, and they should know that these things are going to happen to you, right? And I think some of them do, some of them don't even really care. They're addressing the cause right at the moment. But then you're going back into the doctor saying like, hey, I feel tired. I'm having headaches. I have mood dysregulation. I can't get this weight off. What's happening to me? Because you haven't changed anything. Your exercise routine is the same. Your your eating is the same. I didn't gain weight after mine was removed for about a year. So, and it depends on your body, but it's very common. It's more common for women to gain weight after having it being removed and have difficulty dropping the weight than it is for women to not lose weight or to not gain weight after. A certain amount of women can lose weight after. Both of my daughters have had theirs removed and they had the same issue. They had theirs removed before I had mine removed. The old goat kept hers longer. Um, but both of them were, average size, and they're not like super size, but both of them have gained weight and have had a hard time losing it since their gallbladder got yanked. Buffy, you have Hashimoto's hypothyroidism and no gallbladder. You've gained over. Oof. So Buffy, yeah, I'm trying to work on that. Like, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a real woman. Like, and if I can find a way around and help myself, I'm going to pass that on to you guys too. Okay, so a lot of the knowledge that I have is just because I've gone through stuff, and as I've had to figure it out because my doctors weren't figuring it out, nor did they even try. I figured it out and have been making adjustments at home. So the system, I know Crafty, I don't see her in here this morning. She has a mama or an aunt who has her gallbladder removed. And so you guys, it definitely links into insulin resistance. So here's the kicker though, right? You have your gallbladder removed. You're already insulin resistant. You now have a harder time regulating insulin once you once you have your gallbladder out. I've heard about Golo, but I don't know a lot about it. Not my lane. So I choose to do this because it's what worked for me. Anything you eat causes inflammation. So let's talk about that. Do you mind sharing with me some of the things you do eat? A lot of what we're eating, and we don't realize that it's causing inflammation in our system. This is the system that I use is a tea that I drink in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat anything, and that's it. And I do some intermittent fasting. But what these products are doing is just putting back in what was stripped out so my body can just act normally. The tea, which is what I'm drinking now, gives me mental clarity and energy, gives me physical energy, can boost my energy and performance during exercise by 10 to 13%. These are scientific study numbers that I'm dropping. Okay, not just me saying stuff out the side of my face, because that kind of hurts. But there's components in this that, why am I not naming it? Just go to my profile and find it. So here's why I don't name it. Because I'm all about honesty, right? Because I have had so many people, and you're going to go see it anyway. I've had so many people, and it's called the Feel Great System, by the way, because you'll go to Walmart, eBay, those places to buy it, and there are no authorized sellers in those places. We found pirated product, we found expired product. Every person that called me and said, hey, I got it off of Amazon because it cost me less, when they send me where they bought it, they paid $100 more for it than I can get it to you for. So they don't get any of the guarantees. They're not getting connected to me or any other coach for coaching. I just had somebody on here yesterday that said they've been doing it for 2 months and no coach has helped them because they bought it on Amazon from some guy who's just like didn't want it, or pirated it or whatever. So don't go to Walmart or eBay or Amazon. Those are not authorized. You're not going to get the 3 guarantees. You're not going to get the coaching. You're not going to get any of that, nor do you have any assurance that it is what it says it is. So the component, the tea in this, there is another herbal out there that looks and tastes just like this, but it has not got the components in it that will give you the benefits of this. And guess what a lot of people are getting when they get Amazon and eBay? I'm going to pause for a second. Because I've worked in many different industries. I worked in the ski wear industry as a designer back in the day. And we would go to Vegas, and I would have to, as a designer, You know, the salesmen are out there doing their job. I had to watch our booth because people were coming in, looking at our clothes, and then taking pictures and taking measurements and going and pirating exactly what we made to resell it. If you think they can do that with coats, with purses, with all of that, they're going to do it with the product too. Kaz, we do have distribution. I think it comes from Singapore for you, but that same link that's in my bio, you guys, it works by IP address. So wherever you are in the world, it's going to link you up to the website that's appropriate for you. In Australia, you're going to click on the same link and see a whole different website than I will here in the US. In Canada, they're going to have a different website. So it's going to be a website specific to you with your pricing and all of that there. So now, Kaz, what did nobody explain? Because I am not a scientist. I don't have the patience to be. I dated a guy who was a pharmacist for a while. And although I understood everything he was talking about, I'm like, dude, I would lose patience. So I'm science curious. I like to go out and find answers for things. But no, I'm not like the deep scientific level that Dr. Bickman and Dr. Fung are. I just don't see that being my gig in life. But I'm more than happy to break it down and bring it here. And then if you guys want to go do more research, do that. But what I talk about here, Kaz, is because I've suffered with, like, except for, I say it all the time, except for the erectile dysfunction, I've suffered with all of this stuff. Melba, yeah, sugar is a main poison. So everything that you're eating, well, let's go back to that because Melba just triggered me, that is inflammatory to you. Some of the things that people don't talk about, right? Sugars, refined sugars, and those really refined grains, breads, can be very inflammatory because of the same reason I'm talking about. So much has been stripped out of them. And sugars just, I don't know how you feel, Kaz, but if you eat too much sugar, we all love the stuff, do you get like more gastritis? And maybe, like, I know if I have like a cupcake, I'm half an hour, I'm in the bathroom and it's not pretty. So I know that I have to stay away from that. Overly acidic foods, tomatoes, too much tomato or overcooked tomato can cause it. I haven't really been doing pineapple. I love pineapple, but it's very high on the glycemic scale, so I stay away from it. But the other thing that's going to cause you a lot of problems are seed oils. So Rockefeller is one of them that was developing seed oils like canola oil, corn oil, all of those. What they were doing was they were saying, hey, we have all of this waste. When we strip the fruit off of the husk, we have all this stuff left over that we're not marketing, and we're just throwing all the stuff away. What can we do with it? So they developed it as a machine oil. They drench it in hexane to break it down. This is your vegetable oil. And it's not just corn, it's like or corn oil is that, but vegetable oil can be a number of things. They just all toss in one vat, mush it down, drench it in hexane to get what they can out of it. Now they've made an oil that has a high combustion point because it was developed as a seed oil or as a machine oil. What they started to say was like, well, we could sell way more of this if we put it on the market for food because it's made out of food. And that's what they're cooking your food in, is something that's been drenched in this solvent, and then you're cooking in it. No, it's not good. It's horrible. So if you start to pay attention, like I've had to become really self-aware in the last 2 years, but as I've gotten better, I notice my body reacts much quicker because I feel better, right? So I'm not in all this pain that nobody knows where it's all coming from. So now it comes pretty quickly when I have a seed oil or I go out to a restaurant that cooks in seed oils, especially oils that they've been overcooking in. I will get sick and I will be up all night in pain. Like, Kaz, maybe you've experienced this, where you get like this searing pain. It feels like somebody's stabbing knives in at the bottom of your rib cage. It's not the kind of pain some people would think about, but it's like this horrible, horrible pain and bloating. If I get a hold of some of those things, my belly will like pop out like a Goodyear blimp. And I tease my grandson when he's over, and I'll have him, if it happens when he's here, I'm like, push on that. And he'll be like, Nana, that's hard. You guys, this whole no gallbladder thing, is horrible. So part of the other reason I talk about the gallbladder is because it's directly linked to insulin resistance. I'm suffering from it. Kaz is suffering from it. 2 of my daughters are suffering from it. Like, what if you got the insulin resistance under control ahead of time and never went through what Kaz and I are going through? That's the point. That's the point. So, Kaz, yeah, it's absolutely available in Australia. And I will send you texts, but I'm available on WhatsApp. So, on that same link, if you purchase, add me on WhatsApp, and then we get to talk. I send you texts. I send you a video how to do the system. You get to text me anytime. You guys, if I don't want to answer my phone because it's my sleeping hours, which I don't sleep enough, I will have my phone off. But I encourage everybody who's utilizing the system to contact me when you need me. If I wake up and there's numbers on or messages on my phone, I start answering those. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I don't want to ask her and then forget, or like, I don't know what she's doing, don't reach out to me. Please, please just reach out, okay? All right. I think we are right at an hour, and I will be back at 3 this afternoon. Kaz, if you have more questions, find me, ask me questions. Let's see what we can do to help you. Anybody else? Does anybody, before I do hop off and head off to the next task I've got going on, does anybody have questions about any of this other stuff? Every day it's just driven by what you guys need. So that's why all that's up there. If that fits you, if you're having problems with that, if you don't understand what's going on and how this could help you, the understanding of insulin resistance and getting it better, then ask questions. By the way, I do advocate for, I'm going to talk for 5 more minutes. Damn it. I do advocate for intermittent fasting, and not that anybody has to do this right away, but I've really caused some damage in my body by not knowing the insulin resistance was causing this. I've had heart problems. I had my gallbladder removed. I've lost 3 joints. So I'm really, now the more I understand, the more I'm on a mission to fix it. Okay. So 59 years old, all of that stuff, I want you to understand it's going to look different in a 30-year-old. That's going to reverse and change much quicker for you. The longer you're sick, the longer it takes you to naturally reverse it and fix it. My diabetes went away quickly. My leg cramps went away quickly. My swelling went away quickly. The acanthosis nigricans, the skin tags, the sleep apnea, the heartburn, all of that went away quickly. Now we're working on deeper things. So I am doing an every other day fast. Now, why? And maybe you guys want me to do videos on how I feel every day with that, because I didn't start it. This is like day 8, I think. And I'm more than happy to share those videos. I should probably just share that, like what I eat in a day, what I do when I don't. But I feel better. For me, because I have ADD and I have impulse control, my hunger is not always coming from down here. My hunger is oftentimes coming from up here and being bored or being triggered or whatever. ADD, impulse control, right? So for me, this works because on the days I don't eat, I don't eat. It's simple. Last night I was cleaning up the kitchen and I looked in the fridge and I almost grabbed a handful of something and put it in my mouth, and what are you doing? It's just that you saw something and you're trying to put it in your face. So impulse control with this helps me when I don't eat for that day. So like my last meal was 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. I didn't eat all day yesterday. Easy. I just drink that tea all day and that's it. Now I have a 12-hour window from 7 this morning till 7 tonight. So this morning I had a shake that I make with our protein, a pear, because pears are really good for you, and I'll explain why. But and some healthy fats like heavy cream coconut oil and a little bit of Greek yogurt, and that was my break fast this morning. I'll be having, because I don't do keto, I could, but I don't. I'm having butter chicken for lunch today, and then I don't know if I'll even be hungry for dinner. But now I know that during this eating window, it takes some stress off of me. Like I can have what I want. I eat less calories overall. I'm more active overall because I'm not burdened by stopping to eat. And my body is in a great state of autophagy. So beyond all of those things, Every day when I fast, by about hour 14, I start having some good fat burning going on. That really kicks up around hour 16 or 17, which means it's pulling visceral fat from inside. The stuff that's around the liver, around the kidneys, around all of that is continuing to pull off. Now, when I hit 24 hours, everything is starting to change even more drastically. So now I'm in a great state of autophagy where I'm getting rid of junk cells, where I'm pulling even more out of that liver that had been damaged for so long, where I'm getting more fat from all the organs in around my body. And so that 36 hour, there's a difference between the 16-hour and the 36-hour. I'm doing it for 30 days, and 8 days in, it just already feels like a lifestyle change to me because it's been so simple and easy. Will I go back to 16/8 fasting? Probably. And then I'll just switch it up every once in a while when I feel like I need that extra boost. But I've already noticed a difference in the inflammation from the gallbladder removal by doing this, and some of the aches and pains and whatnot that we have with that. That's already been getting better. My ketones stay higher, my blood sugars stay lower. I have way more energy. So if you want to know about that, message me and we can talk about it. I do, during the fast, I do still drink my tea because it does not break my fast. It will stop a little bit of what's happening in the gut because there's a little bit of caffeine in this, but not a big amount. So my gut's also cleaning up every time I do this 36. Now, those of you guys who've watched me for a while know that I've done like a 5-day fast, a 7-day fast, and a 10-day fast. I started with a 7-day, I went to a 10-day, and then I did a 5-day. Those take a lot of mental work. And I really like what they do for the body. I really can attribute those longer fasts to part of why my body started to turn around and heal again. But it's not what I would call sustainable. When I have to be like, ugh, I really gotta, have the mental capacity to do this 5-day fast, you kind of tend to put it off. Whereas, I can go one day drinking my tea and water, and you can even have this on that 36-hour fast. Again, it's going to slow down some of the stuff with the gut, but it will help encourage fat burning because, and I have an explanation from Dr. Bickman because I talked to him about this. When I drink this during a fast, I did it during the 10-day fast, my ketones actually climbed. So, and ketones are what's cueing you to burn fat, by the way. So that's a little short thing on that. Anybody's interested in doing that, let me know. Some people say just do it once a week. I'm doing it for a full 30 days because I want to amplify the healing in my body. But I'm still going to use the protocol. I'm still going to do that because it's giving me nutrients. It's giving me components to my brain that I need to keep functioning and doing well. And I do take in some electrolytes on the fast. Not as important on the 36, but definitely when I'm doing 5, 7, and 10-day fast. So we'll talk about all that later. I'm going to run. Thanks for hanging out, Kaz. Thanks for all the questions. I hope it helped. And we will see you all later. Have a great day. Melba, I'm going to answer your question. So what yogurt do I eat? We have a store up here called Wegmans, and they have pretty good food overall. So I just look for a yogurt that is whole milk and that it doesn't have added sugars and as few additives to it as possible. So just it's bitter, plain Greek yogurt. That's what I use in my smoothies. The ones that I want to be a little tart, I'll add that in. If I want it creamier and smoother, I'll put a little bit of cream cheese in. But the base, as I'm working through this, the base that I find for my smoothies, which I really don't, we'll talk about that, but the base I use is about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream, about a 1/4 cup of coconut milk, and then like ice, a little bit of water to make it looser if it needs to be, a serving of our complete protein, whether it's vanilla or chocolate, and then whatever other flavors I need to add in. And if it needs a little sweetness, I'll put stevia in. I made one that was like a berry cheesecake. It had that same base. I put in some cream cheese a little vanilla stevia, and some fresh berries. That was amazing. But those are all going to be in the recipe book that I'm working on. But yeah, try that. I don't eat yogurt outside of in the smoothies and I've not had it in my house until I've been doing this 36-day fast. But because I'm on live so early in the morning, I try to make sure that I'm getting, because when I'm eating in a 12-hour window and fasting for 36, now I need to make sure I'm still keeping nutrients in my body. So I will have a shake in the morning before you guys see me and I'm out studying and learning languages and meditating. I will have my shake while I'm getting myself ready for the live, because it's easier than trying to sit down and have sausage and eggs. Then I'll either have my regular break fast meal around noon, so about 5 to 6 hours later, and then I'll try to have my last meal around 6 to 7, and then that's my day on this 36. But for those shakes while I'm doing this type of fasting is when I have the Greek yogurt in. I imagine I could expand my windows a little bit and have Greek yogurt in at other times. I'm really trying to play with the foods that specialists like Lee are telling me that are really good for our body and our metabolism, and working those in to these eating windows so that we're getting as much support as we can and glucose regulation as we can while we're doing it. So, you have any other questions for me before I hop off this morning? I appreciate you being on here every morning with me. It's always good to see your name pop up. Okay, so Melba, I'm going to sign off. I'll be back at 3, you guys, and if you have questions, bring them. I'm going to look up the few questions that I had this morning and see if I can get answers for people. I'll be talking more about skin tags and the skin issues, but really we dive into anything that you guys need to be answered that's on this list that could be linked to insulin resistance, because it's so important for us all to understand what's happening so that we can get better and live a real life and not such a restricted one. Pears. Okay. So I learned pears about a month ago and I was shocked. Pears, Dr. Lee, he wrote this book called, and it's let me see if I can type it in. Dr. Lee. So he wrote a book called Food as Medicine, and I haven't read the book yet. I've watched a number of his podcasts and listened to him talk about insulin resistance and all of the stuff. So he was asked about 5 foods that he recommends. One of his top 5 was pears. And he rates them above berries for this reason. Now, berries are great. They're low in fructose, they're higher in fiber. They have, a lot of them have polyphenols, whatnot in them that are really good for us. But pears have the high fiber, the low sugar rate in them, but they also have the same component in it that this tea has, which is called chlorogenic acids. Those are helping with mood regulation, they're helping with blood pressure regulation, they're helping with metabolism. And not a lot of foods have high amounts of chlorogenic acids in them, but Dr. Lee said, as far as if he had to pick a fruit, pears would be above berries for him. And he said if you're having problems with diabetes and this, to try and do a pear a day. So I do that now. I try to, on my eating days, have at least 1 pear in. And so last night I was like, well, I'm going to just do it in my smoothie this morning, because a couple of my pears aren't quite ripe to the point that I want them to be when I like to enjoy them. So yeah, pears. So the 2 fruits, I mean, you could have oranges and apples. I would just be more careful with them. But fruits that you want to focus on, of course, we all know wild blueberries. They're a little higher in sugar though than like strawberries and raspberries. But those fruits, but even above those, Lee says pears. Another one that I found really interesting, and I don't get in as often as I should, but I really like them when I do, and I'm trying to replace potatoes with them, is navy beans, you guys, white navy beans. And I cannot remember the components of why he said white navy beans, but he said there were studies done that there were a group of men who were given 3/4 of a cup of navy beans. I think it was like 4 times a week, and a group, and other than that, their diet, their caloric intake, everything they ate was the same, right? So one group didn't get the navy beans, the other group got them 4 days a week, about 3/4 of a cup. And the group that was getting them had better blood sugar regulation. Oh, I remember what's in navy beans. So in navy beans, there's an amylase inhibitor. Now, amylase, and it's unfortunate because I haven't found a digestive enzyme that doesn't add amylase in them. I'm actually looking for that. So, with women, as we get older, we have this digestive enzyme called amylase, and it's meant for us to break down sugars so that we get that energy and digest it easier. But what they've found is in women, it starts to build up. And so we get this buildup of amylase, and now every time we eat something that's a little bit sugary, we're like beating that sugar to a pulp because of this enzyme. So the navy beans have an amylase inhibitor in it. So it's slowing down and stopping that really fine breakdown of sugar that's spiking your blood sugar. So if you can fit navy beans in, I just have them plain with a little bit of salt and pepper, warm, and it's so yummy. And actually, it probably will eventually replace my need for potatoes every once in a while. They're amazing. So those were two of them. Salmon is another one, and I would have to go back. Oh, capers, and I cannot remember why he said capers. So I got to go back and read that. You guys, I listen to stuff all day long, and like something will jog my memory. I have books and notebooks all over my house. I look like I have a mad scientist house, but there you go. Sally, we'll see you this afternoon or in the morning. I hope that answers your questions. And Melba, thanks for joining me today, both of you guys. It's so good to see you in here, and we'll talk later. Yeah, we have our 3 o'clock live in the group today, so I'll be seeing you in there if you join from there. Have a good one, guys.